You think you know Denzel Washington? Well, here's some things you may not have known about the man who gave us the line,
King Kong ain't got on me!
The Denzel Washington we're familiar with is actually Denzel Washington Jr. Washington is always quick to point out the difference in he and his father's names. His father's name is actually pronounced Denzel, while he pronounces his name Denzel. Washington was named after his father, but his father was named after the doctor who delivered him, Dr. Denzel. However, Denzel Washington Jr. did not continue this naming trend with his 4 children, Katya, Olivia, John, and Malcolm. Denzel fervently believes that had he not been sent to Oakland Military Academy shortly after his parents divorced, his life would have been much different and much less savory. Being sent away took him from his friends that he had at the time, who all ended up serving at least 40 years cumulatively in prison. Quote, "They were nice guys," Washington says of them, "but the streets got to them." Despite being known for his moving roles in dramatic films, Denzel got his big screen break with the comedy film Carbon Copy. He's only had a handful of comedic roles during his career, but has expressed interest in doing more. Denzel Washington once held a 7-year feud with director Quentin Tarantino. The two have since buried the hatchet, but the source of the contention between the two was Tarantino's excessive use of racial slurs in his films. The argument came to a head when Tarantino did an uncredited rewrite on the film Crimson Tide, which Washington was starring in. The rewrite had several instances of language Washington felt were offensive and confronted Tarantino. Embarrassed, Tarantino insisted they discuss the matter privately, but Washington pressed the matter stating, quote, "No, if we're going to discuss it, let's discuss it now." Interestingly enough, Washington's daughter Katya has since worked with Tarantino on the film Django Unchained. When Denzel was a kid, he dislocated his pinky finger while making a pass playing football. The injury happened repeatedly over the years and became permanent. Washington admits that in several of his films, you can probably see him subconsciously checking his hand to pop his pinky finger back into place. He's since had it corrected, but if he was expressing particularly vigorously with his hands while speaking, the pinky would pop out of place, splaying a good 45 degrees independently from the rest of his fingers. Though, his children found it a bizarre source of fascination, often asking him to scare their friends. After graduating high school, Denzel went on to study biology at Fordham University, which he quickly changed to political science. However, he dropped out when he realized he didn't know what he wanted to do. He spent a summer working at a Camp Sloan YMCA, an overnight summer camp in Lakeville, Connecticut, as the creative arts director. When a coworker suggested he pursue acting, he returned to Fordham with a renewed vigor. He starred in many of the school's theatrical performances and eventually graduated in 1977 with a BA in drama and journalism. Much of Denzel's young life was spent at the Boys and Girls Club of America. He has spoken at length and written many articles about how the club shaped him as a kid and inspired him to be the best he could be in all aspects of life. Since 1993, Washington has been a national spokesperson for the club, and since 1995, he has been a board member for the Boys and Girls Club. And here's a bonus one. There are only a handful of roles that Washington let get away from him. The actor is usually very careful in agreeing to be in films, but over the years has turned away a few that ended up turning into blockbuster films. One is the lead role in the film Seven, that Brad Pitt eventually signed up for, and the other is the leading role in Blade, which Wesley Snipes snapped up. And finally, the role in Amistad that garnered a Golden Globe nomination went to Djimon Hounsou. Washington has expressed a twinge of regret over rejecting his roles, but can't be too sad. The roles he's had over the years have been absolutely stellar. That's it for this episode of You Think You Know Movies. Make sure to subscribe, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and get the latest movie and TV news on ScreenCrush.com.